Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Awesome, and welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Now, before we get into the show, first off, man, if you haven't done this already, man, what are you waiting for, man? Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And right next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you're the first ones to know when my next video will come out because I'm here each and every single week. So make sure you hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And then next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. You click on that bell. And when you click on that bell, you'll be the first ones to know when my next video is uploaded. And one last thing, don't forget to be awesome. So yeah, don't forget to be awesome. And yeah, man, sit back, chillax, grab something to eat, grab something to drink because you're watching the Ryan Awesome Show. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Awesome, and welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Now today on the Ryan Awesome Show, we'll be talking about Impact Wrestling for September the 9th, 2021. Now, man, with this show, man, it was a good show, man. Good show. I thought the show was set up really nicely and, really nicely for next week's show and Victory Road. Thought they did a great job with the build up and everything. And, getting everybody excited about next week and Victory Road. And yeah, man. So yeah, with this show, we did have some great matches on the show. But even though we had some great matches on the show, like most of the matches on there, like most of the matches on the show, most of these guys they're competing at Victory Road. So the one thing that I had a problem with is with them competing against each other when they have a match on Victory Road. You giving away parts of the match by doing that. Even though it was great matches, even though they were great matches, you gave away the match early. Most of the matches on this show, they like these guys they're fighting each other at Victory Road. With the 10-man tag team match, for example, most all these guys they're competing at Victory Road. You have Ace Austin, Christian Cage, competing in a 10-man tag team match, and yeah, you're just giving away parts of the match. Even though the match is gonna be good, you still giving away parts of the match. So that's the only problem I had. That's the only problem what I had with tonight's show. But tonight's show, I thought it was really fun. The crowd was into the show. They enjoyed the show. And so yeah, man. And so Victory Road, man. Victory Road is actually next Saturday. And so yeah, September the 18th. So yeah, man. So this is the Impact Wrestling review for September the 9th, 2021 on the Ryan Awesome Show. And if you haven't done this already, man, hit the thumbs up, man. Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, if you're watching the Ryan Awesome Show for the first time ever, hit that subscribe button. And then right next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you're the first ones to know my next video is uploaded because I'm here every single week. Tuesdays for NXT. We'll see about that. Wednesdays for AEW Dynamite. Thursdays for Impact Wrestling, of course. Fridays for AEW Rampage. And Saturdays and Sundays are for the pay-per-views, whether it's WWE pay-per-views, AEW pay-per-views, or Impact Wrestling pay-per-views. And so, yeah, man. So we started off the show with a one-on-one match, and it was from the women. So it was Tasha Steelz with Savannah Evans versus Rosemary, who is one half of the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions, rather, with Havok, the other half of the Impact Knockouts Women's Tag Team Champions. And so, yeah, this match, they're competing at Slammiversary, not Slammiversary. They're competing at Victory Road. So yeah, you gave away parts of the match in a tag team match. So you're giving away parts of the match by having one member going up against another member of a team. But yeah, man. So we had a bite or face off chant from the crowd, and so Rosemary she had bit Steelz in the face, and so we had a German suplex to Steelz, and then Rosemary she tried to go for like a diving drop kick, but she missed it. It looked like she was gonna miss it anyway because she undershot it. And so Steelz, she had took control of the match at that point. And so we had a PK kick to Rosemary. She kicks out. And so Steelz hit a jumping knee to Rosemary and she kicks out of the move. And so Steelz started hitting jabs on Rosemary. And so we had a reverse DDT to Steelz and she kicks out. And so we had a Stratusfaction to Rosemary, shades of Trish Stratus. And so Rosemary, she kicks out of the Stratusfaction. And so Steelz at one point tried to go for a diving move, but she missed it. And so to end the match, we had Rosemary. She hit the spear. She hit the spear on Tasha Steelz to win the match. So Rosemary wins the match. And so right after the match, you had Savannah Evans. She had stood behind Decay because Decay they were celebrating and everything. And so Savannah Evans, she had stood behind Decay. And so it was a distraction. It was a distraction. And so Tasha Steelz from outside of the ring, she had grabbed the Impact Knockouts tag team titles, and she held them up. She was taunting Decay with the titles, and so Savannah Evans had took out Decay from behind, and so they both ran off with the Knockouts tag team titles. And so yeah, so that was it with that. You know, the match was fine. The match was fine, but the one thing, at least the champion did not lose. At least the champion did not lose. And Impact, they do it sometimes. They do it sometimes. They have their champions lose. But tonight, the champion did not lose. So I can appreciate that. But yeah, man. Yeah, like I was thinking to myself this entire time, like, yeah, they competing at the pay-per-view, so why are they fighting each other? Because next week we might see, I don't know if next week, because usually with the tag team matches, man, like if they're competing for a tag team championship, usually be like one member of one team going up against each other like one week, and then the next week the other team member go after the other tag team member. And so yeah, man, that's not how it's supposed to be. But yeah, that was it with the match. And so yeah, so of course it's gonna be Havok. It's gonna be Havok and Rosemary Decay, the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions, versus Savannah Evans and Tasha Steelz at Victory Road for those tag team titles. Now, who wins that match? Who wins those matches? I don't know. Or who wins that match? I don't know. Probably Savannah Evans and Tasha Steelz. And so yeah, so that was pretty much it with that. And so right after that, we had Gia Miller. She interviews Ace Austin, the inevitable Ace Austin, with Madman Fulton. So Ace Austin, of course, is the #1 contender for the Impact World Championship, and he had a match last week with Tommy Dreamer. I missed that Impact because my power was out. But yeah, he had a match with Tommy Dreamer on Impact last week, and he beat Tommy Dreamer. And so if Tommy Dreamer would have won, he would have been added to that Impact World Championship match. But Ace Austin beat him, so it's still a one-on-one match, and rightfully so too, man. Because Ace Austin, he earned his Impact World Title match. And so yeah, so Gia Miller, she had asked Ace Austin, like, "Are you ready for Christian Cage? Are you ready for Christian Cage?" And so Austin, he has said that, you know, he's ready for Cage. He's ready to become the youngest Impact World Champion of all time. And so Austin, he left the interview because he saw Scott D'Amore. And so him and Fulton, they left, and so they went to go talk to Scott D'Amore. And so Austin, he had thanked Scott D'Amore for the opportunity of him facing Tommy Dreamer. And so Austin, he wanted Scott to book a match with Christian Cage and Madman Fulton because, you know, he tried to get Christian Cage, I guess, soften up before their championship match on next week. And so Scott, he has said that, you know, I have a better idea. Let's make it a tag team match. It's going to be you and Fulton versus Ace Austin. I mean, you and Fulton versus Cage and a partner of his choosing. And then, and then Scott, he changed his mind. He was like, you know what? I have a better idea. How about we make it a 6-man tag team match? You guys find a partner, and we'll be Cage and his 2 partners. And then he came up with an even better idea. That's what he said. He came up with even a better idea. He said it's gonna be a 10-man tag team match. So it's gonna be Austin and Fulton, and they have to choose members of their team versus Cage and partners of his choosing. And so Scott said is next week is going to be next week on Impact in the main event, 10-man tag team match. And so Austin, he did not like the idea. He did not like the idea because it's not what he asked for. He wanted a one-on-one match. He wanted somebody to soften up Cage before the championship match. And so Austin ended up shooting himself in the foot with that one by going to Scott D'Amore and talking to him. And so Austin and Fulton, they approached Brian Myers and his stooges. And so yeah, Brian Myers, he was teaching a lesson. He was teaching a lesson to his cronies. And so Austin, he talked to Myers and he asked Brian Myers like, "Hey, do you want to be my tag team partner? Do you want to team up with me? Because I know you have problems with Christian Cage too. So do you want to tag team? You want to be on our team?" And so Myers, he agreed, and so they shook hands after that. And that was it, man. That was it with that. And so right after that, man, we had Violent by Design. So that's Eric Young, Rhino, Diener, and Joe Doering. And so yeah, so they were talking about Rhino. It was a video package of Rhino in prison, and because Rhino, he had to change because he kept losing. And so Rhino, he was rebaptized. He was rebaptized with the holy water of change. And so yeah, that was pretty much it with that. I love that vignettes, bro. I really do. The visual of them being in the prison and Young just talking to Rhino and all that stuff. That stuff was really good. And so yeah, that was it with that. And so right after that, we had the Bunkhouse Brawl. And so it was Karl Anderson, who was one half of the Impact World Tag Team Champions, with Doc Gallows, who was the other half of the Impact World Tag Team Champions, versus Rich Swann in the Bunkhouse Brawl. And so yeah, first off, man, I love the fact that Rich Swann, he did not come out dancing. Like he did not come out dancing because it was all business, because the Good Brothers, they took out Willie Mack a couple of weeks ago. They took him out a couple of weeks ago in that table spot. And yeah, man, he came out to the ring, walking to the ring. Everybody else was clapping along to his theme music, but he did not dance. He just walked to the ring, and so I love that. And so yeah, another thing that I like, man, they came out. They were not wearing their wrestling gear. They were not wearing their wrestling gear. They were wearing street clothes because they're fighting in a bunkhouse match. And so yeah, man, attention to details right there, man. And so yeah, so Swann, he took out the Good Brothers at the start of the bell. And so Swann, he had hit the Good Brothers with the trash can lids because we had trash cans and all that stuff. And so we had a low blow to the Good Brothers. And then Swann, he started choking Anderson with a rope. And so yeah, Swann, he took control of this. He took control of the early parts of the match. And so Rich, he got too confident. He started playing up to the crowd, and that was his mistake. And so he wasted time. And so Anderson, he had took out Swann from behind, and he started hitting Swann with a trash can lid over and over and over again. And so we had a suplex to Swann on the stage ramp. And so Anderson, he had took control of the match at that point. And then Swann, he had ran Anderson into the chair that was set up in a corner. And so Anderson, he put Rich Swann through a table, not a table, but like a wooden board. He put him through a wooden board, and so he kicked out of that. And so Anderson, he put him through the wooden board again, and so he had a "This is awesome" chant from the crowd. Yes, it was, man. And so Anderson, he tried to put Swann through he tried to run into Swann into the wooden board, but he missed. And so Anderson, he went crashing and burning through the wooden board. And so Anderson, he grabbed the trash can lid and started hitting Swann with the trash can lid. And so Swann started fighting back at that point. And so he started hitting him with trash can lids. And so he hit him with a standing frog splash. He hit Anderson with a frog splash, standing frog splash to Anderson, and he kicks out. And so Gallows, he grabbed that Swann's foot. And then Anderson, he hit a spine buster, a beautiful spine buster to Swann. And Swann kicks out. And so Anderson, he tried to go for the stun gun. The gun stun, I mean. He went for the gun stun, but Swann, he blocked it. And so Swann, he had rolled up Anderson, and he kicked out. And so Swann, he went for a diving splash, but he missed. And And then and then Swann or Anderson, he went for a lariat. He hit a lariat on Swann, and Swann kicked out of the lariat. And so Anderson, he told Gallows, who was outside of the ring, to get the tables, kind of like how the Dudley Boys did it. So paying homage to the Dudley Boys. And so Gallows, he had tripped up Swann on the top rope because Swann was going for a top rope move. And so to end the match, man, we had an avalanche gun stun. We had an avalanche gun stun to Swann on the table. And the table didn't even break. The table did not break. So therefore, Karl Anderson wins the match by putting him through the table and pinning him. So Karl Anderson wins the match, and that was it, man. Really good match. Awesome match, man. And so, yeah, just like what I said earlier, man, they're fighting at Slammiversary. I keep calling it Slammiversary. They call it, they're fighting at Victory Road. They're fighting at Victory Road, so why did we need this match? Why do we needed these guys to fight each other when we already know they're number one contenders for the titles? Like, first off, you beat them in a non-title match, and then you have them fight again in a one-on-one match. You know, another one team member going after another team member, and you gave away parts of the match already. They already gave it away. They already gave it away in the match. But yeah, man, yeah, they were already number one contenders. So what else do they have to do? Just wait to Victory Road, have like a contract signing or something. I don't know. But yeah, man, that was it with that. Really good match though. But you still gave away the match. So yeah, so that was it. And so right after that we had Gia Miller. Gia Miller had interviewed Mickie James. And so Mickie James started talking about Deonna Purrazzo ruining her moment, ruining her in-ring return. So this is Mickie James' first match back at NWA 73. And so James, she had said that Purrazzo made a name for herself, but she's not going to make a name off of me. And so James, she had said that Purrazzo made everything personal. She made everything personal when she took her out and everything. And you know, like James, she said that she was here to conduct business and she wanted Purrazzo to be a part of that business. And Purrazzo made it about herself and all that stuff. And so James had said in Impact Wrestling she redefined her career and became hardcore country. And so James, she had said that Purrazzo would learn what hardcore country is all about. And so yeah, so that was it with that. So we will be getting a match between Purrazzo and Mickie James. Whenever that match will be, I don't know, but it should be really good. And yeah, man, glad to see Mickie James finally do something important. Like to finally see her in something, man. Because when she was in that other company, WWE, they ain't do nothing with her, man. They treated her like a joke. They disrespected her. They called her names and all that stuff, called her Piggy James and calling her old, making fun of her age and all that stuff, and she's not even really that old. And all that stuff. And then when she got fired, they sent her a trash bag. They sent her a trash bag to our house with her name on it. So disrespectful. That was disrespectful, man. Really disrespectful. But yeah, I'm glad she's out of that freaking hellhole, WWE. And she finally doing something important. She just had an all women's show at NWA, which was really good from what I heard, man. So yeah, man. Finally, glad to see her in something important, man. And that Purrazzo and James match should be really good. And yeah, I don't know when it is, but it might maybe at that Bound for Glory show. If I had to guess, probably at that Bound for Glory show. But yeah, either that or Victory Road, one of those shows. But if I was doing it, I'll probably do it at the Bound for Glory show. You know, because of the clash of the brands and all that stuff. AEW, New Japan, AAA, and AEW, Impact, AEW, Impact, AEW, New Japan, and AAA. But yeah, NWA, aren't they partnered up with NWA too? So, but they ain't saying anything about NWA. But yeah, so yeah, I could definitely see it at Bound for Glory. But Bound for Glory is mostly it's an Impact show. It's mainly an Impact show, so I could see them fighting at Bound for Glory. That's on October the 23rd. And so yeah, man. So that was pretty much it with that. And so right after that, we had Matthew Rehwoldt. He spoke. He was backstage. He was painting on his canvas, and so he started talking about the value of art. And he in the pro wrestling wise, saying that all professional wrestlers were artists, and the mat is the canvas, or the canvas is that mat. And so Rehwoldt, he started talking about Trey Miguel. And so Rehwoldt, he challenged Trey Miguel to a match next week on Impact. And so that was it with that. And so right after that, we had a flashback. So we had like a flashback back in the time in Impact. They usually show it all the time on Impact. And so we had a flashback of the Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship in 2013. So it was Samoa Joe, the current NXT champion Samoa Joe, versus Jeff Hardy versus Chris Sabin, who was a heel at that time, with Velvet Sky in his corner, versus Austin Aries. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Versus Suicide. And so, of course, Chris Sabin, he had won that match. He won the ladder match, the ultimate. It wasn't a ladder match. He won the Ultimate X match by grabbing the title. Well, he used Velvet Sky as a distraction to grab the title. And so, yeah, that was it with the flashback. So they were hyping up Chris Sabin for his X Division title match against Josh Alexander at Victory Road. And so, yeah, so speaking of Josh Alexander, Gia Miller, she interviews Josh Alexander, the X Division champion. And so Gia, she had asked Alexander, like, are you ready for Sabin? Because you versus Sabin is like the biggest match of your career. So are you ready for this match? And so Alexander, he said that he's always ready. He's always ready for a challenge. Alexander, he said that Sabin had gave him advice. He once gave him advice on defending his championship and all that stuff. And so Alexander, he said that no one has beaten him. Like, no one has beaten me. And so Christian Cage had interrupted. The Impact World Champion Christian Cage interrupted, and he introduced himself to. They both introduced each other. They both introduced each other to each other. And so, yeah, so Cage had asked Alexander, like, hey, do you want to team up with me in that 10-man tag team match next week? And so Alexander, he agreed. And Cage, he appreciated Josh Alexander for stepping up when Kenny Omega, as the world champion, didn't step up to the plate. And so Alexander, he said that, it'll be an honor. It'll be an honor to step in the ring with you. And also, man, it'll be an honor to step in the ring against you one day. So, yeah, man, that's seeds planted right there, man. Seeds planted. And so, yeah. So, yeah, that was it with that. So, we might be seeing that match really soon since Josh Alexander said that. Now, with the X Division Championship, man, I think Alexander, he might relinquish the championship because that's what they done in the past. Like, if they want all former X Division champions, they relinquish their titles for Impact World Championship match. Chris Sabin did it one time. Brian Cage did it one time. And yeah, Josh Alexander could be that next person to do it. The challenge for the World Championship. And Josh Alexander versus a Christian Cage match. Yes, man. Yes. But I don't know if they still do it. I think they still do it. But yeah. Yeah, they do still do it. They do still do it. The relinquishing of the title. Kind of like the Money in the Bank. It's kind of like the Money in the Bank cash in. Like when but this time you're giving up a championship to get another championship match. So yeah, but I could definitely see it happening. I can definitely see a Cage versus Alexander match for the World Championship. And so yeah, man. So right after that, we had Rohit Raju with Shera, and so they were backstage and they started talking. And so yeah, they showed a video of last week's show with Rohit Raju versus Chelsea Green in a one-on-one match, and Rohit Raju beat Chelsea Green with a jumping knee. And so yeah, he got a lot of backlash for that match, saying people were saying that he took it way too far in the match. And so Raju, he had said that he apologized. He said he apologized, but he apologized when he looked into Chelsea Green's eyes. And so he said that Green wanted it. Green wanted it. Like, from the look from her eyes, he said that she wanted it. And so he gave it to her. And so Raju, he had called Cardona a coward. He had called him a coward for hiding behind his woman. And so Rohit Raju, he said that, he's proud. He's proud of everything that he's did. He's proud of what he did to Chelsea Green last week. And so, yeah, so that was it with that. And so, yeah, so this feud is still going on with Cardona and Raju. Like, I thought it ended already, man, at the last show that we had. Emergence, I think. Yeah, Emergence. It ended at Emergence. So, yeah, man. So, yeah, that was it with that. And so, right after that, we had Chris Bay, the Ultimate Finesser, Chris Bay versus David Finlay. So, yeah, this is a really good match, man. Really good match. So, yeah, Finlay, he went right after Chris Bay, but Chris Bay kept evading. David Finlay. And so Finlay, he had chopped Bay outside the ring. And so, yeah, Bay, he kept evading Finlay. And so we had a running senton to Bay, kicks out. We had a diving draping elbow drop to Finlay, kicks out. And then Bay, he went right after Finlay's eyes, so he gave him an eye poke, gave Finlay an eye poke. And so he had a diving clothesline to Bay, and he kicks out. We had a belly to back suplex to Bay to create some space. And so we had a running European uppercut to Bay. And then he followed up with an Irish curse backbreaker to Chris Bay, and he kicks out. And so, yeah, we had a STF submission move to Bay, and then he turned it in. So Finlay had the STF locked in, and then he turned the STF into a crossface, and he turned that crossface into a Rings of Saturn. So that was a great transition move. And so Bay, since he can't use his hands, he put his foot on the bottom rope. And so, yeah, we had a roll up to Finlay, and he kicks out. And so Bay hit a spine buster on Finlay, which was nice, man. He kicks out. And so Bay hit his Bay kicks to Finlay, so a version of the yes locks, and a version of the yes kicks, to Finlay. So he calling it the Bay kicks. And so Bay, he tried to use the ropes for a leverage pin like he did 2 weeks ago. But Juice Robinson, he came out and he stopped Bay from cheating. And so to end the match, we had Finlay, he had rolled up Chris Bay to win the match. So David Finlay wins the match. And so right after the match, we had Hikuleo. We had Hikuleo from Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling, who was on Dynamite not too long ago, competing for the United States Championship against Lance Archer. And so, yeah, he came out. He took out Finn Juice by himself. And so, yeah, so Bay, he had joined in on the attack. He had grabbed a chair, and he Pillmanized Juice's ankle. And so, yeah, we had Hikuleo and Bay. They did the Bullet Club Too Sweet. They did the Too Sweet to each other. And so, yeah, that was it with that, man. Great match, man. Awesome match. But, yeah, man. So we had 50-50 booking. That's the one thing. 50-50 booking. I'm not a fan of 50-50 booking, but, you know, it was a great match, man. So, yeah, man. So Finlay got his win back. And so right after the match, we had the contract signing. We had the contract signing with Chris Sabin and Josh Alexander, the X Division champion. So we had Scott D'Amore, he was moderating the whole thing. And so Sabin, he had told Josh Alexander, like, hey, man, it's not just about the match or the championship. You know, it's all about building a legacy. And so Sabin, he had signed a contract. And so Alexander, he had something to say to Chris Sabin. He said that, you know what it's like to be X Division champion. Because, which means you lost it. You lost it 8 times. Or however many times you were champion. You lost it that many times. And so Alexander, he said that no one has ever beaten me. Nobody has ever beaten me. And you're not going to be that guy. You're not going to be that guy to beat me. Like at Victory Road, you will not be the guy to beat me at Victory Road. And so Alexander, he signed a contract. And so the contract signing was over. And so Scott, he had praised both Josh Alexander and Chris Sabin. And so yeah, both of these guys, they showed respect to each other. So they shook hands with each other. And so Scott left, and then Alexander had left. And so Sabin was left alone. He was getting ready to leave. And so Christian Cage had interrupted. He didn't interrupt it. He came in. Christian Cage came in. And he started talking to Sabin. And so he asked Sabin, like, hey, do you want to be on my team? And so Sabin, he agreed. Sabin agreed to be on his team. And so, yeah, that was pretty much it. So now Christian Cage, he has Josh Alexander and Chris Sabin. And so right after that, man, we had the Swingers Palace. We had TJP, No Way Jose, or No Way, and Fallah Bahh. They came in and they started betting on the matches and all that stuff. So, yeah, TJP, he introduced Fallah Bahh and No Way Jose to the Swingers Palace and everything. And so we had a bet that was going on. It was a bet between Petey Williams and the Steve Macklin match later on tonight. And so TJP, he said that the Swingers Palace, is the best underground casino. And so, yeah, so TJP, he put all his money on the Steve Macklin winning a match against Petey Williams. And so No Way he insulted the Swingers Palace. He called the Swingers Palace a bootleg Caesar's place, or a bootleg Caesar's Palace. And so Hernandez, he had threatened to kick out Fallah Bah and No Way Jose. And so Fallah, he said that, like, man, I didn't say that. He said that. I didn't say anything. And so Hernandez, he had kicked out Fallah and No Way. And so TJP, he told No Way and Fallah, like, hey, man, I'm getting ready to leave too, but I'm going to need you guys' help. I'm going to need y'all help later on tonight. And so after that, all these three of these guys, they left. And so right after that, we had Kimberly and Susan, not Susan, Sue Young. They peeked through the Swingers Palace, and that was it. So at first, I didn't know what that was about, but they peeked in, so that was it with that. And so right after that, we had Steve Macklin. We had Steve Macklin versus Petey Williams. And so yeah, both of these guys, they went right after each other. And then Macklin, he took control of the match, and we had a double underhook backbreaker to Williams, and then he had a German suplex to Macklin, and we had a knee strike to Macklin. So Williams was fighting back. We had Williams, he was fighting back. We had an over the top rope hurricanrana to Macklin, and we had a springboard code breaker to Macklin. And so Williams, he tried to go for the Canadian Destroyer, but we had No Way Jose, his music hit, and he came out with the conga line, and TJP and Fallah Bah. So they all came out dancing with the conga line. And so Williams, he was distracted by that. I hate finishes like this, man. I really do. So yeah, Williams, he was distracted by the conga line dancing, TJP dancing, and Fallah Bah and No Way dancing. And so yeah, and so Macklin, he took advantage of it. So he hit the Mayhem for All to Williams to win the match. So Steve Macklin wins the match. So that was it with that. Really don't like those types of finishes when somebody theme music play like during a match, and the wrestler get distracted by the music. Like, dude, they're not doing anything. Just focus on the match. They just standing on the stage. Just finish your match. But yeah, man. But the reason why this happened was that because TJP, Williams, he costed TJP a match on that pre-show weeks ago against Steve Macklin. TJP versus Steve Macklin, and Williams had got involved in a match by giving Macklin a Canadian Destroyer, so he costed TJP the match. And so yeah, so it's kind of like a heel turn. He's going heelish a little bit, TJP. But yeah, man. So we might see a one-on-one match. We might see a match with Williams and TJP. So yeah. So yeah, right after that, man, we had a video. We had a video of Moose. So yeah, Moose and W. Morrissey, they took out Eddie Edwards last week. So yeah, man, that's the one thing I didn't know. So yeah. So yeah, like with the Alliance, like both of these guys, they are both loners. So and they're type of guys that don't work well with others. So I don't know why they're teaming up together. Like they're better alone than being separate. But if you're gonna put them together, man, you better have a plan for them, man. You better have a plan for them. Are they gonna go after the tag team titles right after they finish with Callahan and Edwards? I don't know, man. Really don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too fond of the pairing. Like both of these guys, they need to be separate. They're solo acts. So yeah, man. So that was it with that. And so right after that, we had Gia Miller. She interviews Eddie Edwards. And so Eddie Edwards, he said that he's ready for Moose and Morrissey, no matter how many guys are up against them. And so we had Sami Callihan. He interrupted the interview and he asked Edwards, like, "Are you gonna reconsider on needing my help?" And so Eddie, he said that, "I don't want your help, man. I don't need your help, and I don't want your help." And so Christian Cage, he had came in, he interrupted, and he wanted both Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards to be on his team for next week. So Callihan, he agreed, and he left. And so Edwards, he had told Christian Cage, like, "Hey, man, I promised myself that I would never tag team. I'll never be on the same team as Sami Callihan." And so he told Christian Cage this. He was like, "Hey, man, if Sami Callihan is on that team, then I'm out. I don't want to be a part of this." And so, yeah. So Edwards, he told Cage, like, "Hey, man, you have a choice. You have a choice. It's either me or Callahan. And it's all up to you, man. It's all up to you. And so, yeah, so KG has a choice whether to choose Callahan or Edwards, or he can try to get both of these guys to reconcile or get on the same page. And so, yeah, man, so that was it with that. And so right after that, we had Gia Miller. She interviews Ace Austin with Madman Fulton. And so Gia Miller, she was asking about, who are you going to get on your team? We had Christian Cage. He's going through. He's already got his team lined up. So who are you? Who are you going to have on your team, Ace? And so Austin, he had said that he always have an ace up his sleeve. And so the interview was interrupted by Moose and W. Morrissey. And so Moose and W. Morrissey, they said if Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan is a part of this, then we're in. We're in. So yeah, so Moose and W. Morrissey, they are joining Ace Austin's team. And so yeah, man. So yeah, so their team is full. Ace Austin. So it's Ace Austin, Fulton, Brian Myers, Moose, and W. Morrissey. So the heel side is finished. And so, yeah, man, right after that, we had the main event. My phone. Dang it. Talk about next week's show before we get into the main event. So, yeah, man. So, for next week's show and for Victory Road. So, yeah, so of course, Victory Road is next Saturday on the 18th. So, next week we have the 10-man tag team match, of course. So, it's going to be Ace Austin, Brian Myers, the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers, Madman Fulton, Moose, and W. Morrissey versus Christian Cage, Josh Alexander, Chris Sabin, Sami Callihan, and Eddie Edwards. Either one of those. But at the end of the night, it was Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards. So it was Christian Cage, Josh Alexander, Sabin, and Callihan and Edwards. So yeah. And also on Saturday we had the Victory Road. Next Saturday we had the Victory Road. It's gonna be Ace Austin versus Christian Cage for the Impact World Championship. And then for Victory Road, we have Josh Alexander, the X Division champion, versus Chris Sabin at Victory Road for the X Division championship. And then we have the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championship match, and it's gonna be Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans versus the K. That's Havok and Rosemary, who are the Impact Knockouts Tag Team champions. And then we have Hikuleo. We have the Bullet Club. We have Hikuleo and Chris Bay of the Bullet Club versus Finjuice. That's David Finlay and Juice Robinson at Victory Road. And so, yeah, those are all the matches that are announced for next week and Victory Road. And now the main event. So the main event, we have Moose. We have Moose with W. Morrissey in his corner versus Eddie Edwards. So, yeah, man. So both of these guys, they were going back and forth. And, yeah, we had a pump kick to Edwards. And we had chops to Edwards. And then Edwards, he started asking for more chops. And so, yeah, so it ended up firing him up. And so Eddie Edwards, he had hit machine gun chops to Moose. And then Moose, he went right at the Eddie Edwards' arm. And so the crowd is split at that point. They're 50-50. One half of the crowd cheering for Moose and the other half cheering for Edwards. And so Moose, he went right after the arm again. So that's when he took control of the match. And so during our commercial break, no picture-in-picture, we had W. Morrissey. He had gave Eddie Edwards a big boot on the outside of the ring. And we had a top rope Rana to Moose. And so both of these guys, they were going back and forth with chops and strikes. And so we had a rebound. We had a rebound lariat to Moose, which was really nice. And so we had a power bomb to Edwards. It was the last ride. It was a last ride type power bomb. And so we had a Boston knee party. We had a Boston knee party to Moose. And Morrissey, he put Moose's foot on a rope. And then we had a tope suicida to Morrissey from Edwards. So, and then to end the match, we had Moose, he hit the spear. He hit the spear to Edwards to win the match. So therefore, Moose wins the match. And so right after the match, we had W. Morrissey. He took out Eddie Edwards. And so Chris Sabin, he came out, took out Morrissey and Moose. And then Brian Myers came out with his Stooges and took out Chris Sabin. And then Josh Alexander came out and he took out everybody. Took out the heels. And then he had a C4 spike to Myers. and then Austin and Fulton came out and they took out Alexander, and then Christian Cage came out, and then he had the kill switch on Fulton, and Cage and Edwards they took out Austin, and then Morrissey and Moose they took out Edwards, and so Alicia Edwards, Eddie Edwards' wife, came out with a kendo stick, and so she hit Moose and W. Morrissey with the kendo stick from behind, and so Morrissey tried to choke slam her. He was about to choke slam Alicia Edwards, but Sami Callihan music played, or not the music, but the lights had went out for Sami Callihan, and he came in the ring, and he came out with two bats. He came out with two bats, and he handed Edwards one of the bats, and so Callihan and Edwards they took out Moose and Morrissey with the bats, and so Cage. So yeah, they took out the heels and all that stuff, and so Cage, he came in the ring. Went right back in the ring, and he wanted to see if Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan were cool. And so Eddie Edwards and Callihan they hit bats with each other, so the bats had hit each other. So it was kind of like a handshake. And so yeah, so Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan are now added to the 10-man tag team match. And so all the babyfaces they stood tall at the end of that. And so that was it with that. The only thing I had about it was, yeah, the 10-man match should be good, but man, what like the attack, man, the attack the attack looked dumb, man. Like it really did. Like if all these guys were gonna come out and fight each other, like why didn't they come out? Why didn't they come out and fight each other? Coming out one by one, one by one, instead of just having everybody come out at the same time and fighting each other. I don't know, man. I really don't know. But yeah, the 10-man tag should be good. The 10-man tag should be good. But yeah, man. But even though it's gonna be a great match, still don't agree with it. Still don't agree with it. Like these guys, they're fighting each other. They're fighting each other at the pay-per-view. So why are these guys competing right before the pay-per-view? A couple of days later, man. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 days later. So yeah, man. I don't know about that. But which team is gonna lose? Which team is gonna lose? Because somebody has to lose and somebody has to win. I'm gonna have to go with the babyfaces to win. Because Cage is the champion. Christian Cage is the world champion, so he sure as hell can't lose. Josh Alexander is the X Division champion, so he sure as hell can't lose either. Chris Sabin is the #1 contender for the Impact X Division championship, so he can't lose either. He's the #1 contender. And Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards, they have a match against Moose and W. Morrissey at the pay-per-view at Victory Road. They have a match at Victory Road. So if the babyfaces were gonna win, or if the babyfaces were gonna lose, then those are probably the two that would either take the fall, either Callihan or Edwards. But the heels are gonna most likely lose the match because you have Brian Myers. On their team, and Brian Myers, he's not doing anything right now, so he's probably gonna be the person that takes the fall. And Ace Austin can't lose. He's the #1 contender. Moose can't lose. W. Morrissey can't lose. And Fulton can't lose either. I mean, he's lost before. He's been booked to lose, but mainly it's mainly gonna be Myers getting pinned. But yeah, man. So yeah, it could either go either way. It could go either way. The heels can win the match, or the babyfaces can win the match. The heels can win the match because the babyfaces they stood tall tonight. So the heels can end up winning next week. But yeah, man. The babyface team is gonna win. The babyfaces are gonna win. But yeah, still it could go either way though, still. So yeah, man, that was it with the show. That was it with the review. Good show, man. Good show. But the only problem I had with it was, these guys fighting tonight when they have a pay-per-view match. Just giving parts of the matches away by having them compete. Just giving the pay-per-view matches away by having them compete tonight against each other. That's the only problem I had with it. And it's gonna happen again next week. So yeah, man. But yeah, that was it, man. That was it with the show. And yeah, man, if you like this video, man, what are you waiting for, man? Hit the thumbs up, man. Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, if you're watching the Ryan Awesome Show for the first time ever, hit that subscribe button. And then right next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you're the first ones to know when my next video is uploaded, because I'm here every single week, man. Tuesdays for NXT, Wednesdays for AEW Dynamite, Thursdays, of course, for Impact Wrestling. Fridays is for the AEW Rampage. Saturdays and Sundays are for the pay-per-views, whether it's Impact Wrestling pay-per-views, AEW pay-per-views, or WWE pay-per-views. And so, yeah, man. So follow me on Twitter at Ryan Awesome Show. And comment down below, man. Comment down below. Tell me how you felt about this episode of Impact Wrestling. And share this video, man. Share this video with each and every single person that you come across on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, man. And I'll see you guys on Friday. I'll see you guys on Friday for AEW Rampage. And yeah, man. And once again, guys, thank you for the support. Thank you for the love and the support for the show. Thank you, and thank you, man. And this has been the Ryan Awesome Show. Take care, stay safe, and that's that.